It's fine. So we're going to call this meeting to order, and we'll open the floor to public comment. Don't see anybody on Zoom. Don't see anybody else here. So then we're going to move to the next item, approve the minutes of the April 9, 2024 meeting. Any thoughts, questions, concerns?
Move that they be approved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh,
Aye.
aye.
So we gotta be clear, you're taking notes, Desiree, so we gotta be clear what we're doing. Okay.
Okay, you good?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
taking notes.
All
Yep.
right. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Great. We're gonna move to the next item, receiving staff report. So we'll open the floor to the staff guests. Hi.
So my name is Susie Mank. I have been here about a year and a half now. I know, it just feels like I just got here. I am the Adult and Teen Services Librarian, and I have been working hard to increase our attendance. So I'm happy to report that we had 5 teens show up for our teen poetry workshop with Sonia Lara, who she's gone now, the poet in residence at Ripon College. We had 26 at our craft club, and we did a plant swap with a local homeschool student. We had 16 at our last book club event.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so the numbers are definitely increasing, so I'm really excited that we're doing that. And then we're doing a lot of collaboration this summer. So I'm working with the UW Extension in Green Lake, and we're promoting a program called Planning Ahead, which is a 7-week course on financial literacy and end-of-life choices. So it's going to be exciting. And then we're doing an armchair travel adventure program where we've got people from the community coming in and doing a lunch and learn, talking about the different places they've been to, and we have quite a variety lined up, so I'm excited about that. We also have Julia Manor coming in with a bunch of Ripon College students as part of the SOAR program. They're going to come in and help us prep and get things ready for quite a few of our craft programs this summer.
Nice.
Our D&D club continues to be very popular. They had about 18 at the last get-together, and so we are planning a D&D Game Master seminar in August. Diverse Option continues to come regularly. They're going to come once a month over the summer, and we have some major performers coming in for summer programming this year. Mark Hayward's coming in as a yo-yo expert, so we're kind of excited about that. Bill Jamerson's coming in. He's doing a lumberjack song and dance routine kind of thing about lumberjacks and the history of Wisconsin lumberjacks. Then we have Zuzort coming in, Tailwise Science Program, and we're collaborating with Ben Grady at the college to do a pollinator program week. So it's a very busy summer, lots of stuff going on.
What's the theme?
It's adventure is at your library, travel reading adventures at your library. So it's all about adventure. So our system has put together a passport program where if you pick up a sheet and then go travel around and visit all the libraries and get the secret code, then you get a stamp on your passport for every library you visit this summer in our system and outside of our system in the counties in our area. And then Linda and I put together one we're not calling it a passport, we're calling it Adventure Ripon. So it's going around different locations, and we went and took pictures. And then if you find the location, you have a question to answer that you can only answer by being at that location. And then hopefully people will fill that out. So we have, I think, 8 different locations in our little folder thing, but we have it folded up to look like a passport. So
Cute.
yeah, so all sorts of great things going on. And then of course Linda's doing all her fabulous early literacy things and children's fair and all of those programs as well. So we will be
Lots
busy.
of work.
Yeah.
But
Thank you
it's
for all
good.
your hard work.
It's
Yes,
good.
thank you for all.
So that's what I have.
All right. Anything else, Desiree, you want to say on behalf of or for or about Susie, or was it more of her sharing?
No, she's
Okay.
been doing a fabulous job, and I mean, yes, lots of community engagement and great programming. So,
Love it.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Susie. Okay, we will move on to the next item, which is the library director report. Do you have anything specific, Desiree, you'd like to call out?
No, and I don't think I really have anything to add either that's happened since then, so.
Anybody have questions or comments?
You're going to WAPL conference? Do you ever go to the National Public Library Conference, PLA? Just curious.
I thought Susie was.
I went once, Susie just was there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Did you hear any more about the quote on the electrical panel? Like, do we have an idea?
Just, what did I say in there? It came in at $3,000, like just under $3,000 just to take a look at it. And so I think Alan asked Adam to run it by Dave Gallups to see if that was a reasonable amount.
Got it.
So,
Okay,
and I haven't heard anything since then.
okay.
Is that a replacing or fixing?
Replacing it.
That's just looking at it, like doing the thermal imaging,
That's
like
just-
assessing
Yeah.
it.
All right.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I have a question here on the knock box. That's just a
Mm-hmm.
key, a box with a key in it so people, so public safety can get into the building off hours?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Desiree and I went to the council meeting on April 22nd. We shared our annual report, and I just gave a quick blurb about how I envision the future of the library based off of what I've done over the last 2 years on the board, and it was well received. They seemed happy. We had a graphic put together by Libby, right? Was that Libby? Yeah.
Yes.
And so it was great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move to looking at the April 2024 invoices. I see we're using Constant Contact, Desiree. Do we get pretty good click-through of that, or on that? Like, I know we can see like open rate, unsub rate, like how does that compare or look?
I know it gets open and read. We don't put that many links in. We try to include most of the information in there.
Sure.
So I don't know that we get a lot of click-through hits on it,
Yeah.
but so,
Okay.
but a lot of people open it and read
Good.
it.
Okay.
So that's something we send in a mass mailing?
Yeah, that's is that the newsletter, monthly newsletter?
Right.
Yep.
Mhm. Yes, and Libby does that, and with Linda and Susie contributing event information, and I proofread it.
Any other questions on our invoices?
And the Constant Contact, just FYI, is a subscription, shared subscription through Winnifox, so we get a better rate because we're not subscribing as individuals.
Sure,
So,
excellent. All right, we'll move to the next section, which we have called action items. So we'll start with the Ripon Public Library Handbook, which we went through, the committee went through page by page. Any
Bless you.
any thoughts on anything, Desiree? Or I mean, I feel great about what we adjusted and kind of made apply for the library. Wait, were you?
right, and I made the change, and took out the paragraph about Facebook, so that was the one thing that changed from the last board meeting in this draft.
Did anybody else have any questions or comments on that? Go ahead, Doug.
Just a comment, if it's not perfect, it can be fixed. So
True.
I'm surely something's gonna come up down the road, and so I would urge the board to re-examine, maybe on a yearly basis, the handbook to see if it's working, if we need to make any kind of minor changes or major changes to it. That way we keep it fresh and not let it just not work anymore for us. That's all I have to say, thank you.
Okay. Do we feel ready to vote? And if so, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the, get official here, the Library Employee Handbook 2024.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Great, love it.
Woo!
Excellent. All right, the phone system replacement. Did you want to talk about this, Desiree, or would you like me to just kind of summarize the email from Ben?
I can just talk a little bit. Charter has continued to reach out to him, just kind of begging about when there would be a decision, but hasn't put together any better proposal or, more formal proposal. We never heard back from Gordon Fletch. We had reached out to one of their salespeople and they said they would have somebody get in touch with us to set up a meeting, and we didn't hear anything back from them. So I think Verizon is a pretty good option. It's comparable to what we'd be paying now. Ben kind of goes through and prices out a little less than what we'd be paying now, plus we would get the flexibility of having an iPad with a data plan on it, which would make it easier for staff to take both out to the deposit collections when Susie does that, because we would have the mobile cert on there, so we could be checking out, not only deposit collections, but if we wanted to check out at Bring Books Line, check out at any other event that we went to outside of the building, like for example, Children's Fair that's coming up. It would also be easier for staff to, we would have Facebook on that to be able to take pictures at outside events and just post them right to Facebook instead of having to have their personal phone and then transferring that over because they don't have Facebook on there. So it would make that a lot easier too, to have a data plan. So, and their customer service was also very good. They were very responsive and they answered all of our questions. So I would like to, if this is approved to go forward, I would reach out to Arlie and see if they would be willing to pay for the equipment. They probably meet around the middle of May, so.
So is this a 5G thing? How is it wired into the building with Verizon?
This is cellular, so this is
Right.
not,
So
right.
it's like 5G then? Verizon's like
Right.
5G network? Okay.
Right.
Is that gonna get every place in the building that we need? Like downstairs here?
Yes, because it would run off our Wi-Fi.
Oh, of course, all
And
right.
we have 4 different Wi-Fi hotspots in the building, so yes, it should be accessible everywhere.
Okay.
So that doesn't allow for any phones like down here on the wall then? So everybody's carrying a cell phone, do I have this right? Or there's
No,
just,
you can buy phones that look like desk phones,
And you
so
will that-
everybody would have a desk phone.
so you'll do that upstairs, and then does someone have a desk downstairs that would have it on? Or how do you reach people downstairs? I guess that's my question.
Right, so we would get 6 phones, 2 for the desk and then 1 for each of the full-time people, because they're the ones that use the phones the most. So Linda and Susie each have their desks downstairs, and so they would each have a phone at their desk. Now it also has an app available, so if you really wanted to be connected to work, or if I knew I was going to like the conference, I could also have an app on my phone that would, on my personal phone, where the phone number would be forwarded, and I could access it through that app. So
So if a page is downstairs, they'll just answer those desk phones if they need to be reached? Like,
right, that really wouldn't happen though.
or you never call down and say, can somebody come up and help or whatever?
No, not typically.
Okay, and then when you say they could do Facebook and take photos, what are they carrying then? Out?
We would get a new iPad.
I think I missed that part.
So we have an iPad and it's very old. So it's slow, it's not 100% reliable, so we would like a new iPad. It would be better for our mobile system also.
Okay, do we feel ready to vote?
Sure.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the Verizon phone conversion proposal for 6 lines let's see, I believe it's $170 plus fees and an equipment charge of $1,194, not including the $300 promotional credit. I guess that's the motion.
Well, then,
Would you accept the fund for 3 more lines? I think that proposal is for 9 lines.
That's 9, but down it says
says he recommends.
6 lines instead of 9. Is that correct, Desiree? We haven't really
Yes,
talked about.
because Charter's proposal had been for 9 lines, Mary had asked for comparable apples to apples. We put what the Verizon price would have been for 9 lines, but we don't think that we need that many
Okay.
lines.
Okay.
Does the motion need to include the elevator and the fax? Or do we just say accept Ben's proposal as written? Or
We could do it separately. It might be a little bit easier.
What's better for you for minutes, Desiree?
I don't think it matters,
Okay.
so.
Then I'll also add a motion to accept the elevator line service offered by TKE, the elevator maintenance company, from $20 to $40 a month, which is less than Brightspeed of $62 a month.
And the fax.
And the fax, right. I'm also will add a fax line for $20 a month to do a fax with Verizon, and we believe we would save $200 a year from Brightspeed.
All right,
Like I got that right.
thanks Doug.
I will second that.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, great. All right, now we're gonna move on to the RFP for Facilities Master Plan. So this was something I put together based off of what the city sent us for what they used to advertise their Facilities Master Plan. So I read through the whole document. I changed wording where needed. Obviously, city became library, city officials became board, etc. So I was kind of just hoping for general feedback / edits if needed.
Lauren, one thing that I had added, that I don't know if you had reread it again, but I think one thing that had been mentioned in our meeting with Adam and Alan and Ted was also that they should, is part of the deliverables, that the company should suggest alternative funding sources,
Okay.
such as grants. So I did add that
Sure.
in 2 different
Great.
spots.
It was in there.
So
Okay, wonderful.
And then my question was that date. Did I read it wrong, or was it, we asking it for them to be returned by September? Is that it?
Let's see, where did we?
Yeah, general requirements, September 6th.
Where is it?
2024.
Here's, I threw that date out. I
Okay.
threw that date out. That can absolutely change. I was just thinking of putting something on the books if we were gonna advertise, let's say, July 1st. I don't know what like a realistic timeline is for advertising and giving people time to put them together. If I'm remembering, sometimes it was as quick as a month's turnaround time. Sometimes it was 4 to 5 months turnaround time. So I guess we can set that date.
I
That's the
didn't
thing I pulled out of the air.
I think that's really late, Friday, September 6th.
You think so?
Yeah,
But-
I think we should do it with, have a month.
A month?
For them to do
Just
it.
a month, send it out to whoever, and see if we get a bite. Just wait a month, so we get a couple of people to bite
So
on
I'd
it.
like advertise June 1st or July 1st and turn around, do August 1st kind of deal? Or whatever the, if that falls on a
Sure,
Saturday.
I think 30 days ought to be enough.
You think you have to get up to July for the proposal?
I don't know, I was just thinking if it's,
30 to 45 days would be,
I mean, we
should be
don't have to be
sufficient.
on the 1st, it could be May 13th to, that we, we
Yeah.
give this publicly to somebody and they have
Well,
till.
that's only 2 weeks. Oh, so you're
No, I'm
saying
saying like this becomes public and is sent to firms
May 13th?
on May
Yep.
13th and we give them until June 13th at 5 PM
Yep.
is their deadline, right?
And
We could
then-
do that.
And then you could put that we would need it by, okay, so that would be the middle of June.
So in
August
terms of, like,
1st would be
receiving-
6 weeks.
In terms of receiving the final plan, I don't know what a
You don't think
realistic
6
timeline
weeks
is.
is long enough? I don't know how this works.
Well, I think that we need to get bids back first.
Before we understand what a realistic timeline is for the actual
Right, they
plan.
might say, well, I need 4 weeks to develop this, someone.
Yeah, cause
and
if
this is-
they've gotta bring
this is
on
what's gonna cost.
subcontractors and.
Well, they're gonna need to see what needs to be done first,
Mhm.
and then that could take, I don't know, it's construction season.
Yep.
We might get pushed down the road a bit, but I think we have to
But
get it
couldn't
out.
we ask for earlier and then let them, I mean, can't really do anything on anything else until this thing comes in, and that's really concerning to me, but.
The planners and builders are usually different people though, so, they're building right now, but the planners aren't as busy.
They might not be, I don't know.
Yeah, they're doing quotes year round, I would think.
Right.
They should have somebody who
So,
can do that.
but getting someone to step in, it might take a while to do that.
But
It-
could
I
we
mean,
ask-
if
yeah.
if you look at the timing of board meetings, you could put it out now and just say middle of June, because then it would be before our June board meeting. I mean, otherwise, are we gonna schedule especially like if we get this back at the beginning of June, but then we don't have a board meeting for 3-4 weeks.
So what you're
So,
saying is
like,
like,
looking at that timing,
So then approval would be end of June, and then we'd have to give them 2 months, I guess, so, yeah, that puts us,
so we're thinking like, let's just say starting advertising on Monday, the 6th, right? Like this goes out to the public or whatever firms, right? So from from May 6th through June 6th, they have to submit their plan. We read at or we've read them before maybe our
Yeah.
June meeting to come prepared to our June meeting with how we feel about it. Maybe make a decision about what firm we wanna hire, and then we engage them maybe over the course of July or August to come and talk to the board about the plan, and then give them a solid deadline of when we expect to see like here's the full completed plan.
think they need to come to a board meeting,
I'm sure
before
that,
they can,
I don't know. Go ahead, Doug.
I was just thinking that maybe, yeah, let's just get some people to, you might wanna talk maybe with Alan to see who he would suggest we send this off to.
We've already talked with him about that, right, Desiree? It was MSA,
Yeah, I would say,
and Angberg Anderson.
yeah, because they had
anybody else?
prepared. There was, one other one, SGE, or was it something?
SEH.
S-
The
yeah,
thought with
SEH.
MSA and Angberg Anderson and just sending it to those two is that they've already both worked on projects for the library, they're familiar with the renovation, and it wouldn't be starting from scratch.
SEH is engaged with the city too, so they would be another
Yeah,
one.
yep,
And so essentially what we're doing is we are looking for a project manager, because we know there are things that need to be done here. Someone who's going to help us do the bid. This is what we need to have fixed.
Yep.
This is what it's going to cost, this proposal, and then they're going to engage subcontractors to do this, and a timeline and what it's going to cost, and we'll know it'll be on budget hopefully.
all for the same bid.
Well, we're looking essentially, the request for facilities management, we're actually looking for a project manager. I think it's kind of what it is, because there's a number of things that need to be looked at and addressed here at the building. So we'll meet, so I think the person we're engaging, the company
firm,
engaged,
yeah.
the firm, is going to like have someone come out here, and then they're gonna be checking
Yeah,
to make sure
so-
it's all done correctly and on
The-
budget.
the firm will engage, will have whatever subcontractors they need to hire out, and they'll put together a team, so they'll come to the building and say, okay, we recognize that, let's just say this isn't the case, but there's substantial water damage on the outside of the building, and so we have to engage the subcontractor who's gonna work on that. So they'll kind of see what the areas of need are, and then hopefully that will fold into the renovation project. And we can kind of address those concerns based off of the facilities master plan with the renovation. It's like kind of what I'm hoping for.
So I guess I understood differently. I thought it was a bid of what needs to be done, period. And then there would be a timeframe, a priority list, okay? So
Right.
something might be 4 years out.
Right, of course, yeah,
So
that
we
kind
wouldn't
of,
have the money for that. We'd have to figure out how to
that
get the money
ties
for
to the
that.
capital improvement plan that the city
But I
also
guess
wants us
we're
to
not
develop.
engaging them to use their people or their subcontractors at this point. We're not guaranteeing them that, or are
I
we?
think it's more like conceptual. I think it's more like, because it's a plan, right? So it's more like looking at that maintenance memo that we received, looking at what the areas of priority are that the city identified, and maybe they help us prioritize that list. Like they look at
That's what I'm thinking.
the electrical panel and they're like, this needs to be fixed yesterday versus the lifespan of the HVAC can live for the next 5 years. Like we just don't have that expertise, so we're hiring them to kind of come in and help prioritize that maintenance memo and develop a facilities master plan off of what they know and see in the physical plant and what they see on that maintenance memo. And then we can like I said, hopefully fold that into the renovation plan /
And move forward.
make adjustments / to the renovation plan / have the MOU established so that maybe we can engage the city a little more in having them pay.
Yeah, and they're gonna add costs to it, we hope, right? Estimated costs to
I
the
would
things
think
that they
so,
think
yeah.
need doing, right?
Yeah,
So then we have a plan to go forward to the city for asking for money or showing what we need, right, in the next year,
Right.
2, 3, right?
Yeah, cost of the actual things that need to be fixed as well as cost of their consulting, right? Because there's gonna be a cost associated with them being basically a consultancy firm helping to develop.
Well, if we hire them.
Right,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, so timeline, I wrote down, May 6th to June 6th is that RFP window. We then will receive the submissions by June 6th at 5 PM or whatever time we set. Then between June 6th and June 25th, we'll have time individually to review those. And then at the June 25th meeting, we'll discuss feelings, thoughts, concerns. Maybe we'll make a decision about who we want to hire. And then what's the timeline like after that? Were we hoping to have something by the end of August? I don't know if that's realistic.
I'm hoping. What do you think,
I don't know
Desiree?
I
if
think
we get any people interested.
we probably have to wait to set that timeline until we talk.
What they can do.
Let's do
okay.
one thing at a time.
Okay, so then I guess a motion needs to include that timeline.
Well, I think you have to take out the September 6th because you're basically telling them that the work needed to be done by then.
Yeah.
The proposal needed to be
Yep.
back by
Yeah,
then.
and that can be,
And we don't know about that date until we talk to them, right?
Can you put one in as an estimated or something, maybe? So they have some sense of how quickly we're expecting it to be done? Because if they're putting in a proposal, they want to know, are we working on this next winter or are we working
yeah,
on
I
this
think
right
we'll
now?
have to adjust our timeline of when the actual facilities master plan is gonna be a physical
To us.
thing, yeah,
Right.
when we decide to hire, when we talk with the firms.
I kind of, my experience is I think once we accept the bid, they're gonna start wanting a timeline, they're gonna have a timeline when they're gonna develop this, so. I mean, I don't know for sure when that's gonna happen, obviously, but I think they'll get right onto it. You know, if it's either one of those two, they're not gonna fool around, they want their
No,
money.
yep.
Okay.
Okay, so do we think this master plan, this RFP needs to have an adjusted date before we can make a motion, or do we wanna make a motion pending the adjusted date?
Or just leave it? I mean, what were the dates again? Where are they? can
I
never
talk-
find them.
I- What, are you talking about?
In here, like what are you
Oh,
gonna
it's on,
change?
I think I was just gonna change on the last page, under general requirements consisting of the due date. I think the due date should probably change to June 6th, right? The
Gotcha,
due
because
date
that is
for the proposal.
request for proposal.
Yes.
Yep, okay, I would agree, and that's the only one you're leaving on there then. Is
I
that,
think that's the only date,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay,
and as they come back to talk to us, understanding is this will be done as soon as you can.
Yep.
And then we'll talk about that, yeah.
okay, so who wants to make that motion with June 6th as the date?
I'll make a motion that June 6th is the day.
So we're accepting the
So you,
facilities master plan with the edited date of June 6th, is that what you mean?
Sure,
Okay,
yes.
can I get a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Any abstained? Great. Okay, so I will update that document, Desiree, and then send it to you, and it probably
Okay.
makes sense for you to send it, or we
Right.
can figure out how to get it out. Okay, next item, MOU between the city and the library. Has not changed since the last time we have met with this document. Are there any new feelings, thoughts, concerns?
think I'll make a motion for us to approve the memorandum of understanding between the city and the library.
okay, so just last time I think we talked about this, but the understanding is they're going to do exterior or interior and exterior. The city.
The city shall allocate staff, this is on the second page, first full paragraph, through the Public Works Department to provide maintenance services to the library. The city shall review the associated costs with these maintenance services and reduce the annual levy fund allocation accordingly. The The library may request additional maintenance type services to be provided by the city. The City Public Works Department shall review these requests and address them if adequate staffing resources are available. The city shall bill the library time and materials for requested additional services. Further down, like 4 down, the city and library shall cooperate with respect to capital improvements, replacements, and repairs to the building and grounds. The library, as a department of the city, shall submit proposed capital improvements, expenditures, and plans for building and grounds for consideration by the city during the annual budget process. Such capital improvement and expenditure submittals shall contain a summary of explored alternate funding sources in addition to city funding. Such alternate funding sources shall include, where applicable, fundraising, donations in kind, or otherwise grants, reserve, and restricted funding. It's not very clear. Desiree, how do you define?
I think the thought was that right now, lawn service is the one thing that we're contracting out that the city provides and can provide easily. So I think that's the main thing. They're not doing landscaping or any other typical things, you know, and then we haven't really ever asked DPW to do anything on the interior. You know, that's either been the custodian or, you know, if we need a plumber, we call a plumber. We don't have, you know, we wouldn't go through DPW, we would just contact somebody on our own. So I really think it's just the lawn mowing at this point. You know, if something big came up where we did need their assistance or expertise, then I think that would be on a case-by-case basis. You know, kind of like how Alan is kind of taking over with the electrical panel right now.
So this doesn't change really the understanding or the feeling of some board members that maybe the city should be more responsible for the physical plant, correct? Like, I think this is clearly, you know, based on the first page under responsibilities, it is recognized that the city is the owner of the library building and grounds in which responsibility for their maintenance and upkeep are remanded to the custody of the library board. So like, we were handed that maintenance memo, and some of us were hoping that maybe there was an MOU in place that shifted responsibility to some of those repairs to the city, but it seems like that's not the case based off of this MOU. Do people understand that differently?
I think it's not what's in here as much as it is the understanding Desiree has with Alan and when she calls and when she doesn't and what they plan on doing. And then when budget time comes, they're going to ask for a reduction in our budget based on what the proposed cost of that outdoor lawn mowing, plowing, whatever it is.
They probably would for that, but I
Right.
think it would be less than what we would contract out for.
Well, I think it was similar.
Was
I
it
think
similar?
Desiree said, right? The lawn mowing.
Adam said it would be about $25 an hour, so it depends. So they may be able to do it faster, but they're also going to put us on a schedule
Right.
and probably on a weekly schedule, whereas our lawn mowing guy only came when it needed to be mowed and didn't come necessarily every week. And we were paying him $65 per time, so.
So I guess this all sounds fine as long as the understanding with them is that it's the exterior for now and that you'll continue to call the people you called before to work on things. Is that?
Right, as long
Makes
as we're addressing the issues in the building.
Well, and again, this
Right.
capital thing that comes around will help. This is just sort of a preliminary for next year, I think, kind of, right?
Right, this is pretty much just a template from the DPI website, so.
Okay, so it's in the interpretation, and that's what I'm saying. Then we need them to be on a common understanding.
So do we need to spell it out in words in this? Do we need to make an edit to this?
Not if you guys are comfortable, you guys talk to them.
I'm fine with this, okay?
Yeah.
It is a
I mean, I
little,
think it basically puts into writing kind of what we're already doing. The
Okay.
city has taken care of when there's been plumbing and HVAC issues, they've taken care of those. And the library has done more of the cosmetic things. You know, and I think that's what it says later on, like they will help out with the bigger parts of the building that are necessary to keep it running, and the library looks for donations for the cosmetic things. So,
But I think-
so I think it just puts into writing what our current practice is.
Is the question though, or the concern, or the desire, that the city needs to be doing more than they're doing now? You know what I mean? Like, cause this MOU kind of maintains status quo. And what I'm wondering.
Except for the lawn, yep.
Right, and what I'm wondering is, do we need to redevelop this a little bit to push that status quo a little, is what I'm wondering. Yes, Deb?
I don't think you're gonna get any more than this. Second, I think this does push it a little bit, and we are both parties are acknowledging that we do have some rights and responsibilities toward each other and how this building is. And I realize some of the language seems a little bit not specific enough for you all. But you know, do the capital improvement and we'll figure out where the money's gonna come from, whether it's mostly from us or from the city or a little bit of A, a little bit of B. I think we gotta just have to just get this through and then sit down in good faith and work this through. I mean, we can always have disagreements on how it's gonna be funded, but I think this is as good as you're gonna get. It's this memorandum of understanding. It's just a template pretty much from the DPI site. I think there are lots of libraries around the state and lots of cities that have entered into this.
And anytime they charge us for hours, it's only at cost, like what the actual cost of the employee time is.
Right.
So they used to charge like 3 times that rate, and Adam has done away with that, so.
Right. I think for scofflaws to let their grass grow really long and they have to come and mow it, then they get hammered with a fee because you should have just done it yourself. This will teach you a lesson. No, I think it's just that cost. I think that is very reasonable. And yeah, I get it. They might mow the grass sometimes when you don't think it needs to be done. But, you know, come August when there's no water and it's all dead, they're probably not going to mow it.
Andy, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, so the lawn mowing piece doesn't bother me, that's fine, it's
Yeah.
a small change. What concerns me is the part where we shall, let me find it, 1 second. Such alternative funding sources, such capital improvements and expenditures submitted shall contain a summary of explored alternate funding sources.
And
I
what's
think
number one?
that's an issue that has concerned some other board members who are not here anymore. And that if a boiler goes out, the library board does not become a fundraiser for the boiler.
Right.
I
No,
think the
we're
issue is that if we can put it in the budget, we put it in the budget and we plan for this, we're doing those things to plan for what's going wrong right now. I think that's how I believe it should work. There were not fundraisers for the meat and potatoes, the
Right.
basics of keeping this building open.
Open, yeah.
Nope, I don't see that. I didn't see that at all when I read this. If the boiler explodes, first call insurance,
Yep,
get it, see what we need to do, and if it's whatever the insurance costs, whatever our deductible is, we'll proceed from there financially and see what we can do.
but yeah, right,
I mean,
so we agree. But the alternative
There is the
issues-
line in there that says such approval by the common council to fund repair and replacement shall not unreasonably be withheld.
Okay,
Andy, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, but what about this part of alternate funding sources shall be sought, right?
Yeah,
I think we should remove that.
it says the alternate funding sources shall include fundraising, donations, grants, reserve, and restricted funding, so.
well, but the sentence above says,
Yes.
such capital improvements and expenditures shall contain a summary of explored alternate funding sources. So they're saying that's primary, we have to hand that in with it, right?
So we did a grant proposal to the state for $100,000 for whatever, and we hadn't heard anything back in a month and a half, so we tried that. No one's asking us, it says we're applicable. Okay, so like if there's a grant out there for that, yes, and no, we're not gonna make board members, I'm certainly not gonna do that.
Yeah, I know, but
Not based on this.
It's great,
Yes,
so
it
that
is.
it could be read in such a way that the council or whoever say, go raise this money
Yeah.
for it, and I don't like that.
Or
It's
take
appropriate.
take a piece out of your OACF funds, which.
Right, and I think that's what concerns me, because, well, that you have this money, they're going to say,
Well,
Technically.
the city will say that.
right,
We have that $400,000 sitting out there,
right.
not in any restricted fund, not for anything. And I'm positive the city's gonna ask you all, including me, to use some of that money for some of the renovations, some of the AC
Capital.
units.
We're talking about capital, yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna have to use for some of that.
and that's where we'd like it to be more clear, I think.
What if we took out the word fundraising there?
So such alternative funding sources shall include where applicable donations in kind or otherwise grants. So just eliminate fundraising completely.
I honestly think we should just take it as it is. Don't worry about that language. Because the city's not gonna say the library staff's gotta be out front with a bake sale.
And that's a trust level that we need, we
That
either
we're-
have it or we don't.
Well, and we're working to develop it, but we
Yeah.
also need to be good stewards of our money and do right by our patrons and buy the donated money.
That sentence was
that
what
we have.
bothered me the first time I read it, because what did they, in the order that they put them,
Yes,
fundraising
right,
came first, and that just, to me, I didn't like it
I'm
to
fine
be
eliminating
first.
it. I'm fine making that edit.
I just think we should just leave it the way it is. I don't see that it's an issue. Fundraising, okay, and the other thing is, I think there was some issues about, it says agency partners of the library will be expected to consider capital improvements that result in enhancing the abilities of the staff, equipment, programs, and services, which we're talking about the Friends.
Yeah, we agree with
Okay,
that, because that's not maintenance of the building, that's other things.
Right, and I thought that was the big sticking point. The fundraising, it says where applicable.
Right, but where applicable is vague to where it could be applicable every time.
Well,
Right.
it could be, but what kind of equipment are we talking about? A
I don't
new
know.
meeting aisle, a new meeting hall? We could do
I
fundraising
have
for
no
that.
idea.
Improvements.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right.
I urge you just take it the way it is. And I think we should take it through and we can look down here.
Do you want it in there, Doug? Do you
I
want
think
the
we
time?
should just leave it the way it
Do
is.
you feel like changing it is gonna make a red flag for them or something?
I
Is that
think,
it?
my understanding is this is the way it should be, and I get it, you can have disagreements with this, that is fine. You have different disagreements of the language, I think we should take it, but if you don't want to approve it tonight, I think you need to talk to Adam about what he meant by fundraising. Is that something that we always have to consider when we're doing this, fundraise, going to Webster's to do the broad fry to raise a couple $100 for this when we need X.
This is a DPI document, so Adam didn't put this in.
Right, he
So-
sent us the same one,
Right, so
basically.
we got it from
Yeah.
the state, so.
Right.
I move to accept this MOU with removal of fundraising
As, yeah, those wordings, yeah.
in this wording.
Okay,
I would second that.
okay, I will.
Well, let's vote on that.
Or
Yep.
discuss, I guess, some more.
Okay, do we need to discuss more? Because we can't have competing motions, so if that's a motion, we have to,
I will accept Andy's motion instead of mine. I'll withdraw my motion.
okay.
So
Good, Doug? Good, Desiree?
that seems to be the simplest way, right?
Sure.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained.
And I would let him know that we remove those words,
Yes,
too.
we'll let
Yeah,
them
just
know.
It's not a
Well,
let.
they would have to sign it, so this would go back to them, and they
But I
would
mean,
have to
don't-
say if they
Don't
signed it or
assume
not.
it's the
No.
same and then let them
Yes.
slide, tell them, this is,
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
I mean,
Of course.
and I just wanna add that my one concern is like, we know the people who are there now, but there can be turnover. And so you
Yes.
get somebody else that's not,
Yeah.
Adam leaves and somebody else
Great
comes
point.
in, and then how literal are they in
Yes.
interpreting this?
Absolutely.
So we understand the trust with the current administration, but that can change,
Right.
so,
Okay, so Desiree, you'll make that edit and send it off to them for review then?
yep.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Okay, excellent. All right, we're gonna move to the next topic, discussion items, the RPO bylaws. So it was discussed about changing them based off of term limits, particularly, let's see.
Officers.
Yeah, Article 3, Officers, Section 1. No, let's see,
No member shall hold office more than one office, and they cannot serve more than 2 consecutive terms in the
terms, and a
same
term,
office.
and a term is 1 year.
Where does that say? Where does it say that?
Did we define that? I just know that that's the.
That's somewhere else.
Section 3, officers shall serve a term of 1 year from the annual meeting at which they are elected.
I thought we wanted to change the term. Or was
As
it,
far as I understood, we
or was it
wanted,
the consecutive part?
I don't think the consecutive was an issue. I think, as far as I understand it, there was talk last time of the normal term length is 3 years. Sorry, yeah, term length
Okay,
is 3 years.
So
So
changing
2
that.
consecutive terms of 6 years, I don't think was a concern. It was more eliminating someone from a position, presidency after 2 years, especially now in a time when consistency might help.
so it's really section 3, we would like to change officers shall serve a term of 3 years.
3 years,
That's it,
I
that's,
believe.
I have concerns with that
Yes.
because it's hard to recruit
Yes.
sometimes to get somebody into the office. Somebody could try it out for a year and then it works well. And so I would be more in favor of having more terms possible.
Okay,
So that you could have,
sure.
keep
Sure.
electing somebody
Yes.
every year
Mhm.
for 4 years or 5 years or
That
6
makes
years
sense.
or
That
whatever.
would accomplish what we
Right.
wanna do, I
Right.
think.
Because if you're trying to get somebody to sign up to be the president, it seems really daunting, you haven't done it before, it seems stressful. 2 years or 3 years might really scare them.
Right, that's a good point.
so instead of 2, you would say 3 or 4.
Consecutive terms.
Yeah.
So we're looking to change it from just 1 year only to
It's,
consecutive 1 year terms.
Well, I think
It's
terms
2 now.
would still stay at 1 year.
Okay,
And right now, it's no more than 2 consecutive, so we're talking about making it no more than 4 consecutive, or 5 consecutive, or
Okay.
whatever.
okay, I'm fine with that.
So, Desiree, do you have any thoughts?
I mean, we could make it 4 or 6, but if you're only on it for 1 term, it doesn't matter then. You're off, you can't be
Right.
president or vice president,
and that's
right?
understood, yep.
That's fine.
Yeah, I just put this on as a discussion item again. This was something that Mary had brought forward and she's not at the meeting, so. But I think if we're in agreement, then we can put it as an action item for the next meeting as
Okay,
to what, or talk about, that's the one that we want to change and this is how long, if there's a recommendation, so.
So you're gonna write down what the verbiage change is proposed?
What are your feelings, y'all, about 3 years, 4 years, 5 years?
I personally think it should be a minimum of 3 consecutive terms, because coming out of my second, I only feel like I'm doing good stuff now, and so it would be nice to know I had another year to really like sink in a little bit more and hopefully identify somebody who could take over.
But I think if we put 4, they can do 4, but they don't have to because each year they would need to be reelected.
Correct.
So if we
Right,
say 4,
right.
then.
It may be that we don't want Janet Serena-Terra
Right.
anymore, so we vote her off after the second term, right?
I'm fine with no more than 4
Yeah.
consecutive.
Okay.
Okay. So we will bring that to the next meeting.
And I feel that that's cleaner also because if we said that they served 3 years, but like Lauren didn't get elected till she was in her second year on the board, and then, it could be in the middle, but you could be elected for 3 years and then something could happen, you go off and, at the end of your term,
Yeah.
and then there's a year left, so I
Right.
think this is a little cleaner.
Okay, next item is fundraising campaign update and press release. So Desiree and I were kind of talking about how the public is probably overdue for an update on like kind of where we are, right? Like we had this big campaign, we had the 100 Extraordinary Women, we had the yard signs, and we had articles in the paper, there was a recent article that was based off of old information, so we just were, and I threw this together. I'm certainly not beholden to any of what's in this press release, it was just kind of a starting point. So anybody have thoughts or feelings on this particular iteration?
Yeah, I read it and thought, wow, that was really well written.
Okay. Yeah, we wanted to, I think at least my goal with writing this and thinking about it, you know, going out to publications and probably being turned into a graphic and posted on social media, just so people know, like, we have your money, we're protecting it, it's still, you know, in its safe little foundation account, and we're not just gonna let it sit there. Like, we have plans for it and we're working on it, but we recently learned of these, like, some of these big things that kind of need our attention as well, so we're trying to figure out a way for them to dovetail into each other so that we can kind of achieve both, hopefully, like, alongside each other at the same time.
And Lauren, one thing I added was just the fact that the library is applying for grants also. I don't think that was in your original.
No, that's great.
And just an update on that, right after I sent the board packet out on Friday, the grant application opened for this new grant that we're going to be using.
Nice.
So I haven't connected with Ben at MSA. I actually emailed him earlier on Friday and asked if he heard anything, and he hadn't. And then late Friday afternoon this came out. So I'm hoping that once he's had a chance that next week sometime we can connect and start planning on moving forward with the application process. So
Excellent. Love to hear it. I took sort of the 3 tenets near the bottom from the Thinking Outside the Books campaign. Like, I tried to really use what we had already worked on, so I wasn't sort of reinventing the wheel, but yeah.
I think it's fine. I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
It's
I
okay.
think it's fine.
Okay.
I think it says a lot without saying too much.
That's kind of what I was aiming for as well. Not putting blame on anybody, not really trying to,
But we're telling people that we do have some problems
Some
with the physical
things.
plan.
yeah.
People might ask what they are, we can tell them. Because we have general ideas.
There is no current fundraising committee, correct, to run it through?
correct.
Correct. Yep.
Are there plans to create a committee again?
I think once we get the facilities master plan and we know where things are gonna fit, then yes, I think the fundraising committee should start up again and knowing, you know, what comes first and where is the city gonna help if, you know, if HVAC is top of the list, you know, does that go in the capital improvement plan?
Yeah.
Right, but I think we need that information before we can start earnestly fundraising again, unless we get one of these grants coming through. So the grant that we haven't heard about that we applied for is a matching grant. I do believe we have just enough cash on hand to match, and the city, if we got that one, the city was okay with us using a lot of the money that we have in our regular fund, not just the renovation fund. This new grant that we'll be applying for does not require matching dollars, so.
Okay. I mean, I think Kat would probably be a huge asset on the fundraising committee if that was something she had time for, so. Yeah. Okay,
That's good. So if this is not an action item, or can we say, go ahead and send her up?
It's not an action item.
I'm sure we have more information about if you'd like to contribute.
yeah, of course, yeah, we
I-
should probably put a prompt for donate here or something like that, yeah, absolutely.
But this is just a press release that we need to have a vote on it. Does this need to be an action item?
Well, I know that Desiree and other staff send them out all the time without our approval, so I don't know, Desiree, what do you feel?
The other concern is the thing about has caused a slight delay in our fundraising efforts. If you can phrase it more positively.
Yeah, okay, so let's
We're doing this.
create it a speed bump. I don't know, let's.
Where are you?
In that main paragraph, dedicating resources to these prioritized maintenance items has caused a slight delay in our fundraising.
Yeah, that
efforts.
wording kind of went jarred.
Okay, so how do we workshop it? Like, what do we think would be better?
Not pause even, that's still too. Does that need to be in there? Could you just say we're working through a timeline and a plan for making these improvements?
Yeah, we probably could. So, having a physical space that operates optimally and safely is of utmost importance to both library staff and the entire board of trustees. We're working through a timeline and plan for making these improvements and dovetailing them with the renovation plan. I'm okay with that. How does everybody else feel?
That's fine.
Okay. Any other?
How big is your
I mean, this is a discussion item. Let's discuss, I guess.
The last sentence, the board thanks you for your continued support. Or wants to, we do, we thank you.
Okay,
Don't want to.
Yes.
Lord, thanks you for your
Yes.
continued support. Yep.
great. And then maybe I'll put after that, if you'd like to contribute,
Yeah.
like a prompt.
If you want to, please contribute.
Yeah.
Or just to contribute to the project.
Yeah, to contribute,
Sure.
great.
Because we're not just sending it to people who have donated, we're putting it out to all the public.
Yep, so,
This would go out in a constant contact newsletter to our database of patrons also, yes.
Yeah.
excellent, okay.
So then we can have an actual link to, the donation directly without them, yeah.
Anything else?
Sorry.
Add a visual to kind of keep their eye on the prize.
I was wondering that, do we think, like a fun little, like,
The design,
Numbers?
The design, I think.
Okay.
Building.
Okay.
Mock-up,
yeah,
and keep them seeing that, like, that's the
Mhm.
vision, that's the vision. We're gonna get there, we're gonna get there.
okay.
Now I'm wondering, update from Ripon Public Library on renovation.
Yeah, that was-
So it's just fundraising, you're saying, not, I would say renovation and fundraising efforts. So,
Okay,
so it's not, we're not just talking about a update on the fundraising, we're talking about the project and fundraising.
I kind of wanted a jazzier title there, I just didn't know, like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to spend my whole time writing this on the title, so that's why I just, but,
Maybe continue, slap continue at the end and take off update from that.
okay, so Ripon Public Library,
Renovation and fundraising efforts continue.
Yes, just a statement, yeah.
excellent. I'll make all these, are you redlining a doc, Desiree, or do you want me to send these to you?
But I'm making notes, but why don't you send me yours and we'll just compare, so we have
That's
to
great.
see.
Yep. Okay,
Yep, I like that.
love it.
Or do you have to get the Ripon Public Library in there so that they,
Yes.
well, it's going to
Ripon Public Library renovation and fundraising efforts
continue.
Great,
There we go.
okay, any other thoughts? When do we normally send out constant contact stuff, Desiree? Or is it kind of just one as needed?
We always send one out at the end of the month for the next month's events. So
Okay.
like in the last, so it already went out for May. It went out last week. And then And then we usually do promos for big events, so like when we're paying Zoozort and the yo-yo guy several $100s, then we promote those, you know, in hopes to bump our attendance and remind people about them.
So this probably won't go out until, like, in terms of constant contact sending until the end of May?
Well, how much does it cost to do?
Oh, no, we would send out a separate one,
Yeah.
and so I would say probably like, not this coming Monday, but the following Monday,
Okay.
you know, because Libby will need time to format it and everything,
But
so.
It should be on the.
I mean, and just, you know, just timing, it's better to send things out earlier in the
Sure,
week than
sure.
at the end of the week,
Okay.
so.
Alright, so we're aiming for sending this out by May 13th, so if anybody decides to take another reread and has any other things, just let me know, send it my way. Alright, we will move on to the investment policy. Was this just kind of doing right by the policy that we approved in terms of?
Well, Mary had asked for this to be on, and she's not here. And we can note that the Finance Committee is going to be meeting with Carlene on May 14th at 4:30 p.m. Other board members are welcome to attend. And then also the investment company that the OACF uses will be visiting Wisconsin in August. And so we do have a tentative meeting set up, you know, just with our Finance Committee. Again, all board members are welcome to attend. Public meeting, open meeting, to talk to them if members have any questions about, you know, how they decide where to invest the funds. So.
Okay, excellent.
And we also would like to invite OACF to an upcoming board meeting once the Finance Committee has met. Carlene is unavailable for the May 28th meeting. She could send somebody in her place. But she'd like to see how the Finance Committee meeting goes, and if not having her is acceptable, she's the one that's most familiar with our funds. She would prefer to come to a board meeting instead of sending another representative, but if the board would rather sooner than later, you know, the executive director can come from the Community Foundation, so.
Okay. All right, any questions? All right, next item, security cameras.
So I just asked around a little bit. I never heard back from Oshkosh. Nina said that they run all of theirs through their IT department, so she didn't know about costs really, how much they were. In the fire district, it's Heather Donovan that is in charge of that. And for 12 cameras, those cost $7,000. And I didn't get a follow-up, and that there's no outside storage, so they must have a hard drive that once it gets full, it starts overwriting it again. And it didn't get a response to my follow-up was how much data can be stored on there before it starts over. Like, do they have an approximate number of days, you know, that it'll fill before it starts over? And maybe if it's, I don't know if they're motion activated or not, it might not be something that's, if it's motion activated, it might not be as much as ours where it would be on, you know, a lot of the time, so.
Yeah, but we're doing this, we're considering this because of one event, or were there multiple issues?
There was this one, and so Mary had asked for more information on security cameras. I think we have other higher priorities with our funding than spending them on security cameras right now. I did mention this to Kat when we had her orientation. She suggested just, you know, tracking events. If we have incidents like this and then reviewing, you know, so if we had several incidents, you know, then in 1 year, then maybe we should look at something like that. But, you know, as of right now, this is a very isolated incident.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, doesn't make me feel comfy to think about cameras in
So
the
can it
library.
just go away if we don't act on it then?
Yes.
Yep, it's just discussion.
We can
Okay.
always bring it back in the future.
So, next meeting is the 28th, is that right, Desiree?
Yes.
28th? And remind me, you want agenda items no later than when for that?
The Wednesday before.
Okay, so Wednesday, May 22nd is when we would need to get agenda items to Desiree for that meeting. And then the next meeting will be that Tuesday, May 28th, 5 p.m. here. Any other items before we get out of here? All right, we will adjourn.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.